Every time I come, my brother got to set it. Then I got to go. That was the greatest opening segment ever.
That was not the right segment, but okay. We'll go with coin toss on that one, right, Andy?
Hey, look, we'll go with it. Hey, gang, how y'all doing? We live. Welcome to this week's special edition of Let's Talk Football Roundtable. It is just myself this evening and this lovely lady over here, Miss Tina Winter, live and in living color from the Windy City, Chicago. How are you doing, Miss Tina?
Hi, everyone, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I don't normally run this show. So if I make a few mistakes, let's just track it and just put it off as inexperience. So,
Well, just just
um,
just remember not to hit the button you hit earlier when we were
yes,
on here.
yeah, when I canceled myself,
Yeah,
essentially.
she booted herself from the conversation.
There's a reason why I was never really good with a lot of electronics. I can type very well on a computer, like run stuff like this is not my normal thing. So, yes, we are here to discuss the draft that's happening on Thursday and no other news except for this. And everybody's trying to figure out who is going to go where and trying to be the prognosticator that is able to say, hey, we think this is what's going to happen here, here, and here. So
I'm
we're
not
going to
gonna
talk.
get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It makes my ears
We're
hot.
going to cover the first 12. We're not going to go past that because I think if we make this Handy and I could probably talk for 3 hours on this and entertain
Three.
ourselves.
It'll be Friday. People be going, y'all still talking? Me and you will be here and be like, Tina, huh? What? Oh man, I've used up all my PTO. Are we done yet? So
Yep. So, all right. I am again, I'm just let me find this. I had it. Where are they? I'm telling you, Handy, I'm having a day.
are
Here
you?
we go. Yeah. Well, I lost them. So, all right. Well, we're going to do this the hard way.
Okay.
We are going to start with 1 through 4, which, as everybody knows, number 1 goes to the Bears. It's the Bears. We'll talk about the first 4
Y'all
in a
Bears.
row. We got the Bears with their first pick. Then we have the Washington Commanders. Then it's the Patriots, and then it's the Cardinals. And I mean, everybody's showing Caleb Williams is going to be the number 1 pick for the Bears. So I guess my question is, Handy, do you think this is going to be the number 1 pick, or do you think the Bears might actually pick a different quarterback?
I think the Bears are going to do exactly what they did when it came time to draft Justin Fields. You and I had Tina and I had a little conversation offline earlier today, and I said one of the biggest um, detriments to the league in terms of quality of play from certain teams is the front office or stubborn owners who just get dollar signs in their eyes when they see an electrifying player. The Bears did this with Justin Fields. How what's it? This will be his 5th year coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 5 years ago, with big stars in his eyes, the owner talked to the GM, or maybe the other way around, and they decided to draft Justin Fields. Never mind the fact that they had zero offensive line, and that boy, and you saw he just got killed every week to the point where he was like, you know what, I'm just gonna throw the ball to myself and catch it. That's what I'm gonna do because that's all I can. I mean, I'm just gonna run the ball because I can't throw it to myself, and while he racked up a bunch of stats, the Bears got no better. Meanwhile, ticket sales went through the roof when they drafted this kid because he was a phenomenal player. And even though the Bears really got no better, uh, people were still tuning in to see what Justin was going to do every week. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that given that, I'm going to go ahead and stick with, even though despite the flower child type talk that Caleb has had, and his dad saying we want a stake in the team and all the crazy stuff that's come out of his camp, I think the Bears are still going to draft Caleb Williams because Guess what's going to happen the first week of NFL play during the regular season when Caleb Williams puts his jersey on and trots out on the field? It's going to be all eyes on him. Ratings mean dollars, and dollars mean profits.
Yeah, agree. I mean, my only thing is maybe because I mean, all the top 3 that we're showing. So right now the top 3 are showing is Caleb Williams, Derek May, and Jaden. And kind of all of them are all kinda together for me. They're all in the same way. Now, Caleb has a few more physical attributes that I think make him a better first pick, but I think all of them could be in there as the first pick. So, but I agree. It puts the Bears, while their ownership may not be personally wealthy, that franchise is wealthy.
Oh
They're
yeah,
gonna
good God, yeah.
they're gonna buy his jersey, they're gonna buy everything, so I agree with you. I don't think the Bears are gonna go back and change anything when it comes to that pick. So the next
No,
Washington. And let's kind of talk Washington and Patriots together because everything I'm seeing on all the mock drafts are interchangeable on these two. It's either Jaden going first to Washington or Derek May going to the Patriots or vice versa.
well let's back up just a second with the Chicago pick. Caleb Williams may well not be the best fit for Chicago. Um,
Mm,
and I'm just hypothesizing because we don't know what the season is going to bring because we don't
right.
know what they're going to do in terms of building an offensive line around this kid or whatever. But um, NFL ownership has this tendency to suffer from. If there's any group of people you thought the teenagers suffered from FOMO, NFL owners have the biggest fear of letting a player go to another team and be great when they could have that player, despite the fact that they might not be doing what they need to do to set that player up for success. So I think FOMO is a huge factor in this. But of course, if Caleb Williams goes to a team like let's say he goes to a Detroit Lions and backs up Jared Goff, and then Jared says, "You know what? It's been a great ride. I'm going to retire." They've already got a squad, and Caleb can work with that. And of
Mhm.
course, he'll be great in Detroit. But I don't know if he's going to be great in. Yeah, thank you, Nathan. I agree with you 100%. They should have built something. I just got done watching his show.
Yeah.
They should have built something. By the way, great show. Uh, the Nathan Snell show. Lord have mercy. I can't remember names right now. But yeah, so yeah, exactly. A rookie quarterback with that roster,
Mhm.
I'm gonna. I did their level of greatness in 2024 is going to be up for question until I see what they do in the rest of the draft. Okay, Washington Commanders, Drake May,
Well,
Jaden.
no, hold on, to kind of go with what you were saying and kind of what Nathan was saying, and also kind of what Nick and Delilah have been saying all year is like Justin Phillips and Caleb Williams are kind of similar quarterbacks.
They
If
are
they couldn't do it with Justin Fields and they couldn't make adjustments for him, like what are they going to do with how are the coaches and the OC and the quarterback coach going to be able to take a rookie quarterback who, if you look at what was going on, didn't play well against really good teams? And he's going into a league now that has every team is good. Even the bad ones are good.
right.
So, yeah, I see some issues with that, but I think you're right. On the FOMO, I think it's not just the owners, it's the head coach, it's the fans, everybody. A lot of people are all in on the Bears with Caleb Williams, thinking he's going to solve the problems. And as you kind of alluded to, I think there's other problems there. And I think Bears fans, if they're being honest with themselves, there's other problems there. And it's not just the quarterback. Justin
Mhm.
Fields wasn't the only problem there. Okay. So,
Justin Fields was not a problem. That he just decided. He just said, "I'm going to take the team on my back and do what I can do." But you could see the frustration on his face every
mhm.
week.
Yeah, because they weren't coming up with plans that work to his um strengths. And it's hard to do that when it's hard to be successful in a system that's not playing to your strengths and not trying to help you. But Delilah and I have said it also on the round table. You can't stick a square peg in a round hole and expect it to work. You got to shove it in there, and at some point, it's just going to crack, break, and it's not going to work anymore.
You said
So,
you and Delilah said it on the what?
on the round table, we talked about like
That's a different show.
oh,
I'm giving
on
you a
this
hard
show.
time. I'm giving you a different. I'm giving you a hard time.
Mm,
It's good to
okay.
see you too, Tina.
Washington and the Patriots. So, I like to me, it seems kind of interchangeable. Like you could either take Drake May or Jaden Phillips, but more people seem to think that Drake May is a better fit for Washington than Jaden. And I'm sure Sean would be extremely happy with that
Yeah,
because
of
he
course.
is a North Carolina boy.
Let me go ahead and say. Let me go ahead and say it for him. Tar Heel.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I put the left hand up too. I sure did. Anyway, I think so too. We see now. Granted, it was a different coach altogether, but we see what a dual threat quarterback has done in Washington in RG3. Um,
Mhm.
excuse me. We see what they've had with a dual threat quarterback, and honestly, um, that squad that RG3 had, they had a better football squad around RG3 than Drake May is going to have than
Yeah.
they're going to have now. So if you draft a Jaden Daniels, he is going to wind up having to do exactly what Justin Fields has done for the past 4 years and what Caleb Williams is probably going to have to wind up doing for the next 4 years. So I think Drake May is probably a better fit because it looks as though they are trying to make some moves to build up the offensive line and
Agreed.
get
Yeah.
better protection for the quarterback. Because if I mean, not to say that they would have, been world beaters. I'm sorry, Sean. Not that they would have been world beaters, but I think they would have had a far better showing last year if they had done more to build the offensive line.
Right. Yeah. I do think their offensive line was it was porous, and if your offensive line is porous and you have a quarterback like Sam Houston or those guys that take longer or they're taking longer to throw the ball to let plays develop, you're going to have a hard time with your line.
Yeah.
And so, and I also think Washington was very big in the free agency. They had picked spots that they were going to go out and get some free agents, and they went out there and they got them. So I think they're making good steps to push the team forward. So, hopefully I said all the talking points correctly there, Sean. So that would put Jaden Daniels at the Patriots. And I don't know about this one. I kind of feel if they take Daniels, this might be a setup for failure for him. Just because he was also like Caleb Williams, where he's good if he's beating up on teams. If he was playing teams that were good teams, he had a hard time. But again, the kid is phenomenally talented. So let's see what happens. But Belichick isn't there anymore either. Belichick knew how to develop quarterbacks. So
Well, apparently not, because you see what happened when Tom Brady left. I mean, let's be real. Drew Bledsoe was not a slouch at quarterback.
no,
The,
he
the
wasn't.
he just got hurt, and Tom Brady took the reins and said, "See you later, old timer," and never looked back. And Tom Brady was no slouch at quarterback. You
No.
got Mac Jones, and Mac Jones was a decent to good quarterback who
Hmm.
played for the absolute goat of college football coaches. I'll go ahead and say it. I'm a Georgia fan. Georgia fans don't hate me. Kirby is for me. Kirby's number two. Active coaches right now: Saban, Kirby, Kate. I'll go ahead and put Harbaugh on that list as well. But he
Hmm.
played for the absolute goat as a college coach, and their squad was loaded. Their squad was absolutely loaded. They had an offensive line of Brahma Bulls, Brahma Bulls and Silverback Gorillas. There was no way that he could not succeed with the weapons that he had there. So then you get to New England, and you got to just kind of because that was the thing in New England is as long as Brady was quarterback, they could have put me at wide receiver, and I'd have had an 800-yard receiving season.
Well, the thing is a lot of people are talking about, well, Brady left, and I'm not discounting Brady. Brady was phenomenal, and when he left, it was a drop off at quarterback. No doubt about that. But also when Brady left, people started leaving the team. They couldn't get the headliner offensive linemen and the wide receivers and everybody else that they could get in free agency and bring them over. I'm not saying that I am one of those that I say it was Brady and Belichick together that worked it out. Now, did he go out and win another Super Bowl? Yes. But how many people did he bring over from the Patriots to that Tampa Bay team to win that Super Bowl? That's all I got to say. If you bring Gronkowski over with you, you're going to win a Super Bowl. That's just like
And Gronkowski's
he
going to get another contract for another 6 years with USAA.
yeah. I mean, let's talk about it. Brady came to the Bucks, looked around and went, "I'm not going to win with this. I need my boy." And he got his boy. So that's all I'm going to say. You're right. You could talk about all of it. I'm also not a big huge New England fan because of years and years of AFC championship games. So, all right, Arizona. According to this, they're saying this person, and for the audience, I kind of picked this one because it was different. It wasn't like Arizona's trading. Arizona's trading. This one is saying Arizona's going to stick, and they're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr.
Did we talk about Jaden Daniels, or did I miss that? We just talked about
We just kind of
Belichick.
pushed along. We just pushed forward through it,
Okay.
or I did. I was done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to put the cherry on the top of that, there are some concerns with him because he has been injured. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
I'm thinking about Michael Penix. I think that's what I'm thinking about. But he has had some bumps and bruises. But great dual threat quarterback. He's
Yeah.
got a cannon for an arm. The one thing with him, though, that I've seen, and I got to watch him play a lot just because he played in the SEC, is
Hmm.
that if you rattle him,
Yeah.
if you if you get
That's
if you get him rattled, you can throw him off his game. And
yeah.
you're going he's going to a team that is looking, they are
Oh, he's going to get rattled,
well
and
here's
that's
well
that's
here's the thing with New England. It's almost a shame. They had Brady there for 2 decades. For 2 decades, the Patriots just were the creme de la creme of the league. And
hmm
Brady's been gone what now? 4 years now? 5 years, 4 or 5 years now.
yeah.
And they're just like, oh my God, just the playoff. Can we get a playoff game? So
Yeah.
if he's not able to get there and get them there, the fans are going to be calling for him to get benched. Not that the fans really make a difference. I mean, well, they kind of do because butts in the seats and eyes on the TV and jerseys being sold mean revenue. But they're gonna start, what they call it, quietly quitting. You won't have as many people at the games. So
Yeah, but it's also Massachusetts, and Massachusetts fans they're die hard.
oh,
They'll
yeah,
they'll
that's
they'll
true.
freeze in those seats.
True, true, true. Well, I don't.
But
You know what though? I don't know about that because see, they can support the Celtics. That's an indoor sport. They support the Sox because the Sox is an outdoor sport during the summertime.
yeah,
Football though, in Foxborough, hey, look, if for me to drive in that weather to get there and sit there for 4 to 5, especially if they're pre gaming, I don't know. Then
I
again,
think
I'm sticking
Massachusetts
with the
fans will. I think the fair weather Patriot fans who were not fans until Brady came,
oh, you mean the
that's a different
bandwagoners?
story.
The bandwagon people that were
Yeah.
Green Bay fans while Brett Favre was there that found another team to jump to and then lied and said, I've been a fan since Tom Brady was at Michigan State. He wasn't at Michigan State, dummy. Try again.
Yeah. Yeah. Kinda like the Florida fans that flooded into our bar when we had Tebow. Okay, yeah, I agree with you. He is extremely talented. He is a dual threat, but the thing that I keep reading about is like what you said, is if he gets flustered, it can break his concentration. He may have a bit coming back. And let's be honest, like you said, the Patriots are not the Patriots of old. Uh the Dolphins are good. They're really good, and they have to play them twice. Um, they're in the same league as the Jets, right? Sauce
Yeah,
Gardner
yeah,
is
it's
gonna eat
yeah,
that kid
the
alive.
Dolphins,
Uh,
the Dolphins, the Jets, the Patriots, and the
is it the Bills?
no, the Bills are in the AFC. Yes.
Okay,
No,
the Bill.
the North is Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Pittsburgh,
Cleveland,
and
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Yeah. So they're the other East team, the
Yeah.
Bills.
Yeah.
Go Bills.
The Bills, the Dolphins, they're really, really good. The Jets, it's going to depend on whether Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, then those three teams are going to beat the crap out of the Patriots.
I
And
think if he
they got a
focuses,
brand new head coach too. So it's one of those that everybody's like, oh, he'll be great. I would be maybe bring that back a little bit. He's gonna have some growing pains. Okay, now we're gonna go to the sunny side of the country and go to Arizona. And this one is showing that it would be Marvin Harrison Jr. And I agree. I mean, Arizona needs some wide receiver help there. I mean, can you name a wide receiver?
well, according to what I'm reading here, they have 11 wide receivers on their roster, but only one of them is signed through 2025. So, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's an amazing statistic right there. That means that you have all these wide receivers and you're not resigning anybody and they're all going to be playing with each other.
right.
So that'll be interesting.
Well, here's the thing: how motivated are some of them going to be to play, knowing that Marvin Harrison is coming in, and a goodly amount of them will wind up sitting.
Well, in that case, if I was the wide receiver coach, I would be like, "Look, you can sit on your laurels if you want to, or you can join up with this kid and he can take you places. Let's bid." But it who's their quarterback there? I always forget.
Where in Arizona,
Yeah,
Kyler Murray,
Kyler. Okay.
Kyler Murray
Yeah.
the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see. I mean, i- i- if this is the position, if Arizona does keep this position, then they don't really need a quarterback. Kyler Murray is decent. He is able to run the team and everything. And I think that the Arizona's kind of in a rebuild stage. And I mean, how could you turn down Marvin Harrison Jr. in this
Oh,
section if you don't
absolutely
really
not.
need? Yeah,
Absolutely not. Especially when that is what you need. A
yeah.
100%. I think there has been some maturation on the part of Kyler Murray as well. You know, there were all the questions,
Yeah,
the jokes about the Call of Duty and him not taking things seriously. And I think last season we saw him grow up a little bit, which is a good sign, especially considering the fact that you know they gave him a decent amount of money. But you know they can always take trade him off and take the cap hit, which doesn't really exist, as some of our friends like to say. The cap doesn't exist, and spread that out over a number of years so it doesn't hit against how all that crap, all that. I don't want to call it book cooking, but if any other business operated like an NFL franchise, my God, Rico, look, Rico and Suave would show up and shut them all down. So,
yep.
so I think he's starting to come to realize, look, I need to earn. They gave me the. Well, I don't know if it's about them giving him the money, but he's not a rookie anymore. He's got a major injury under his belt. And now that they've given him this money, he's got to show and prove, or he's going to wind up getting shuffled off to Buffalo.
Right.
Not literally.
He's going to end up in the revolving backup quarterback who can find themselves a first string position
Right.
round table that
No, he'll be on the
carousel that happens.
no, he'll be on the podcast with Cam Newton.
True. Well, all of them could be on the podcast with Cam Newton. I'm
Right.
surprised he doesn't have more people, but that is an interesting show. Okay. So we're going to move to the next part, which is probably going to be most of the show because it has my team and it has Andy's team in it,
Hold on,
which
hold on, hold
is,
on, hold on, hold on.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following segment may not be fit for unmature audiences.
Okay. So in this particular, which I pulled this from Fox News, which don't get me wrong, people, I'm not a huge fan of Fox Sports News. I think they're a little more in the they like to have people click on their websites more than they are about real news when it comes to sports, but I thought this was interesting. So in this one, they're having the Denver Broncos putting in a trade with the Chargers, the LA Chargers, for so the Denver would get the 5th pick, Chargers would get the 12th pick, and probably a few other things. And in this one, this person is saying that Denver would be trading up to get JJ McCarthy. Everybody knows my team needs a quarterback. I've been saying it for 8 months right now, even though we did just get the lovely Zach, I love moms, Wilson, and there's supposed to be a trade going on with that's being done behind the scenes. Nothing's set in stone yet. It's just a rumor right now. But um, we need a quarterback, and we need one badly. Um, so I I have a lot of problems with this one. One is I don't think Jim Harbaugh's gonna give one of his uh adversarial teams in his own division a chance to move up to get the quarterback that he had back in Michigan. Like that
Mhm.
doesn't make sense to me. But again, like you said, it's about getting together with it's the owners getting together and the GMs deciding. I mean, the Chargers don't need a quarterback. That's definitely true. Um, they've got Herbert. Um, the other thing is other than it just being a complete switch from 5 to 12 and 12 to 5, Denver doesn't have any other draft capital. They don't have anything in the second. They don't start picking until the third. Um, so I don't see this one happening. That's just kind of what I'm saying, but I could be 100% wrong. And if they do trade up and they get the number 5, I will eat crow. I will post it all over Let's Talk Football that I was wrong. I don't, but I don't see it happening, especially after Zach Wilson. That trade, if that does happen the way it's supposed to happen, like, I mean, good lord, seriously, George Payton, Zach Wilson.
I mean, there's
He lost a team. He Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. He loses a team. The team literally says, "We don't want this kid anymore." But they wanted to create I guess they want to create competition in the quarterback room. And the only thing I can think of is come in here. If they get JJ McCarthy, yeah, that's the future of the team at that point. And if Peyton can pull it off, okay, fine. I just I'll stop.
you know, you know, it's wow, that's a mess right there. So they have. So let me get this right. They've got Justin. I'm making sure I'm following. Justin Herbert still in San Diego.
Correct.
Denver now has Zach Wilson, and they're teasing that they may trade. This mock draft is proposing that the Denver Broncos are going to trade up to get JJ McCarthy to keep him from going to Denver, not
Well,
Denver, San Diego.
well, it's what they're saying, what a lot of people, like the pundits and everything that kind of know Sean Payton have said, is that JJ McCarthy is the quintessential quarterback that Sean Payton likes. He's the kind of quarterback he wants to bring in, a lot of run, short passes, have to throw the ball every once in a while. So essentially what JJ was doing at Michigan when
Well,
he
well,
was
well,
the
well,
quarterback there.
well.
But
I'm not taking anything away from JJ McCarthy, and I don't
yeah,
want to step on any. I know there are some folks that are huge
Michigan fans.
Michigan fans, but this past season, JJ didn't have to do a whole lot. I mean,
He was surrounded by talent.
the run game that Michigan had was absolutely insane. And so he really didn't have to. JJ didn't have to do that much. He really did not. Blake
No,
Corum. Blake Corum was just that national championship was the Blake Corum show.
yeah,
The college football playoff was the Blake Corum show. That's not to say that JJ McCarthy didn't play well, but when you got a young, healthy running back that is just tearing it up, you know what I'm saying? It used to be, Michigan actually. Here's what McCarthy. Here, excuse me. Here's what Harbaugh did. He went back to old school football. Used the run to set up the pass.
hmm
And it worked in the Big Ten, and it worked. I mean, the biggest obstacle was Ohio State, and of course, they beat Ohio State. So there was what else was there left to do? I don't. I just don't. I see McCarthy being a good quarterback in a good system. I don't see Denver pulling that plug.
I don't see him doing it either. And I don't see the Chargers just taking a straight up switch in the picks. They're gonna want something else, and Denver doesn't have it unless they're willing to take a third or a fourth pick. And Denver just doesn't have the draft capital. We gave up way too much draft capital over the last couple of years to get some pieces together with Wilson, and then the next year with trying to get pieces to come together, and it just didn't work. So yeah, right now Denver's QB room, it looks like a train wreck. We got Ben DiNucci, who came over from the US
I'm
FL.
sorry. I'm
Uh,
12.
yeah, yeah. We've got Jared Stidham, who played 3 games last year, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, Wilson's better." He's like, "No, Stidham had 3 games. That was it. He was not involved too much. Until Russell got sad, Stidham wasn't playing much, and now we got Wilson. So we're gonna need someone. I personally think we'll stay at 12, or we'll trade 12 away to get more draft capital in the latter rounds to try and get something in the
so
second.
you don't think you're going to pick anything in the first round? You're just going to trade that one away altogether?
I would personally hope that's what we do to get more draft capital,
Uh,
because the quarterbacks I'm hearing that I think are going to be a better fit with our system are Penix or Bo Nix. And I think they're going to be available in the second rounds. So I would rather now. That being said, we're going to get to somebody else and we talk about that. And then I'm going to go back to what I just said. Because if at 12, this one guy is available, according to one of my Bronco guys, we should absolutely take him. Um, and he is one of your Georgia boys. Okay.
yeah.
So next we have the Giants. This pick is saying that the Giants will pick Rome Odunze from Washington. And this was Nick's pick for the second Chicago Bears pick coming up later. He wanted this guy. Um, I'm hearing great things about him, and definitely the Giants need wide receivers. They've been making do with what they had, and even though I'm a huge NIU alumni, and I was very, very happy when Galladay made the NFL and ended up in Detroit. He didn't do anything when he got pulled to the Giants. So they need some real help. And Saquon's gone. You got to start building the team. So you think there's something else they should do there, or you kind of agree with that? Now, some people, they're also saying like this part, the next 2 teams, I should also say this too. Like, do you take Roma Dunze or do you take Malik Neighbors? And the the Giants and Tennessee both need wide receivers. So I think this is going to be in either one.
Yeah, this is gonna be a 6 of one in one hand and half a dozen in the other, because both of these wide receivers came from pass heavy programs with very
Mhm.
prolific quarterbacks. So I um I want to, you know what? Actually, I'm going to say flip flop those two, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because Danny Dimes has a tendency to take off running. He likes to fancy himself a dual threat quarterback, and he did have a decent portion of a season before the bottom fell out, and that is something that Malik Neighbors is used to. With Malik having played with Jaden, he would be able to be that wide receiver that would scramble.
Okay.
If the play breaks down and he sees Danny Jones, he sees Daniel Jones scrambling to be able to break the route off and get open. That's I think he would be better adjusted for that because of the type of offense he played in at LSU. As far as Odunze, Penix is definitely a pocket passer.
Hmm.
Uh, Penix is definitely a pocket passer, and he's had some issues. He's an older player. I don't look for him to be doing a whole lot of scrambling. I think he would do better in Tennessee. So
Yeah.
I would flip flop those two just based off of that alone.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah.
any good wide receiver worth their salt would be able to break off, should be able to break off a route if the play breaks down. But just knowing that Malik Neighbors played with Daniels in LSU, there you go.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's what I'm going with there.
All right. Okay. Number 8. Your lovely Dirty Birds. They're showing Dallas Turner as an edge would be their pick. Do you
Uh,
agree with that, or do you think they should pick something else?
I'm
There's
liking
another
that.
position.
I'm liking that. Although Atlanta's defense was pretty solid last year, they were in a goodly amount of the games that they'd lost. Granted, they still lost them, but they were in a goodly amount of games. But I think a set of fresh legs would be a good addition to the defense. I guess I would have to wait and see how things pan out with everything else to see what else we need. But I think it would be a great addition to the defensive squad because if you can limit the number of if your offense is not that great, if you can limit the number of points that the other team can score, it gives you a fighting chance.
Yeah.
It's not like basketball where you got a 20-point lead with 4 minutes left, and that means squat because your lead is on the young Golden State Warriors with healthy Klay Thompson and healthy Steph Curry, and they can eat that lead up in like 2-3 possessions. This is, if your defense can shut down the offense. So I'm okay
Yeah.
with it. I'm
Yeah.
okay with it. Like I said, once the season starts, if I see any holes someplace else, then you never can tell 6 months from now. I'm like, doggone it, we should have drafted an offensive tackle. But right now, I'm okay with that. Right, okay with Dallas Turner. Yeah.
Yeah, the writer that picked this, he said that the reason he did it is because Calais Campbell is gone and you need to replace that guy. So it makes sense to me, but your team better than I do. So I was gonna totally pass that one off to
I know
you.
I would know Atlanta a whole lot better if the Oklahoma City broadcast area showed more Falcons games. So we know that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's all right. We about to get YouTube. We about to get YouTube TV, and I'm about to be Falcons down every Sunday. So we'll be good there.
Try being in the Chicago Bears thing. So, like different stations have affiliations and all of that.
Oh,
So CBS is the AFC channel.
right.
Well, in Chicago, Channel 2, the CBS channel, is the official station of the Chicago Bears.
Oh, okay.
So even if the game is on Fox because they're playing like Green Bay or something, I can't get a Broncos game on the CBS channel
Yeah.
because it's
The only
blacked out.
yeah. The only way that I can see an Atlanta game is if they're playing a prolific AFC team like Baltimore or Pittsburgh. So that game will be on CBS.
Okay.
Or here's what has to not be on. Dallas can't be playing in the same time slot. Houston can't be playing in the same time slot. Tennessee cannot be playing in the same time slot. Nor can Baker Mayfield be playing in the same time slot. So Atlanta is a fifth on that total point. And I think it's lower than that. So it just depends.
Yeah.
Then too, I mean, if Atlanta was knocking heads and they were coming into week 13 undefeated, then they probably would be on every TV station. So who knows? But
Yeah, my friend is a Bears fan and she's out in New England and she's like, I have to pick extra for Hulu to see a Bears game because it's just pretty much practically blacked out and everything.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
that's the part of the reason why I go to Almost Home every Sunday
yeah.
is because it's just I have to pay for NFL, Direct TV, NFL Network, all Sunday ticket in order to do it, and I'm not gonna do that. So,
Yeah.
but
Like,
I think if
yeah.
I added up my bar bill at the end of every night, I probably would have paid for it.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was spoiled because well, any bar you go to any bar, and if they've got enough TVs, they can put them on. I mean, there was a
Yeah.
bar that I used to go to every Sunday in Manassas, Virginia. Every Sunday morning, would go there for Sunday breakfast and wouldn't leave there until Sunday night football came on. And they always had a TV on with the Falcons on for us. But yeah, spent a ton of money in lunch and breakfast and lunch and drinks and more appetizers and more drinks.
Yeah.
Just absolutely insane. So yeah, YouTube TV is going to definitely be the move. But
Yeah.
so you mentioned the Bears. That brings us to pick number
Heck, we're
9.
not 9. We're back to pick number 2 for the Bears. Like I said, Nick would like to see Odunze. If he's still there, okay, I can see that. The Bears do need some help with their wide receivers. Um, this one is showing, and I think this is a good pick because we kind of talked about it a little bit before. They're showing that this pick is Joe Alt of Notre Dame as an offensive tackle. Bears need help on their line.
Yeah,
They do need some outside help. So,
yeah. If that's the way they go, um, I mean, I'm not a Bears fan, but just based on what I've seen, I just got done talking about 40 minutes ago about how the Bears needed an O line, and
mhm,
this is a
agreed.
step in the right direction. So I'm completely okay with this pick,
Yeah, I think it's a good pick.
and it looks and they did pick up Darnell Wright last year, so uh,
Mhm,
I think
yep,
I think with that tandem, that would be a really good foundation to build on. Maybe I don't know what picks they have in later rounds. Excuse me. Um, I don't know what picks they have in later rounds, but I think that would be a great foundation for them to build their offensive line on. Give Justin some time to stand in the pocket and actually show people what kind of an arm he has.
you mean Caleb?
Oh yeah, right, right. See, I see. I've gotten used to Justin being the quarterback in Chicago. It's just we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. I personally think they should focus on a tackle in there. Like everybody says, this is the best tackle class that's been around in a long, long time. There's a lot of really good tackles in there. And if you're a team that needs a tackle, grab Joe Alt as fast as
Mhm.
you can. Um, so I that one I can I don't have a problem with that one. It'll be interesting to see if that's what actually happens. Okay, number 10. We're talking about New York Jets.
And with the 10th pick in the 2024 NFL draft, the Jets
Brock
The Jets of New York
Bowers.
have selected Brock Bowers, tight end, University of Georgia. Honestly, looking at what they've done, what I'm seeing here that they've done with this squad, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, this looks like this is going to be a really great acquisition. And me having watched this guy play all 3 years, I've watched every game that he's played for the last 3 years. This kid is an absolute monster at tight end. I would venture to say, a size aside, he's the best tight end coming to the league since the Tony Gonzalez, Shane Witten era. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? Because he is a combination, because he's still physically imposing. He's a big dude, but he's got speed just not too far behind wide receiver speed. Plus that he's stupid elusive. He's got crazy hands. I mean, he makes circus catches every week. I'm like, how the heck is he doing this? But yeah, he's been one of the best tight ends coming out of college in a very long time, and this is a good pick for. This is a very very good pick for the Jets. Morgan Moses, wow, that's long as he stays healthy, that's a good O lineman right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Washington fans were actually ticked off that they traded him away because he was a hometown boy. I think he went to UVA. So, um, but yeah, I think that is a great pick and a great addition for New York. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. I want to see what he's going. I'm going to be all over the place this NFL season. You got Brock over here, and you got Lad McConkey, whose name I don't see. I think he's probably going to be a second rounder, but he's going to be playing someplace else. And yeah, and trying to keep up with the Eagles and the 18 guys they got on their defense. But I definitely this one, New York, great job. I'm not even saying that because he's a bulldog. He was going to be a beast no matter. Well, depend on the quarterback. But like if he had been in Alabama, he'd have been a beast. If he'd been at LSU, he would have been a beast. He's a beast, hands down. The good pick for the Jets.
And Rodgers does well when he has a good tight end. Like, that's the thing is, like, if you look back at all the really good Green Bay teams, he had a phenomenal tight end, or he had a good chemistry with a tight end. So, yeah, I think this one is true. This is the guy that if he's still available at number 12, take him. I'd want him. Even though I did say on the Mile High show that me and my friend Steve kind of said like we have like a reaction to picking a tight end in the first round because we picked Fant and then we picked Dulcich and they just don't seem to work out.
Mm-hmm.
But this everything I read is if if there's a team that really needs a tight end, or you're just going to take who you think is the best out there,
Mm-hmm.
he's who you got to pick
Yeah.
because everybody's talking about he is really, really good. And that's the thing. Like, if we're at 12 and he hasn't been picked yet, and we're thinking we're going to trade back and take a quarterback later in the rounds, take him. I'd have no, you know what, you got to take who's the best at that point if you
100%.
don't want to trade back. So that was my number 12. If we don't trade, Bowers would be where we should go.
Yeah.
Okay, Minnesota is
Michael Penix Jr., quarterback, Washington. Um, Great quarterback. He's another guy that, like I said, he's like I said, he's an older quarterback, so he's already got some mileage on him. I think he was a super senior.
yeah, he
Uh,
was.
he was a super senior. He's had some problems with his legs. I think he had a surgery, a knee surgery of some sort. So he's coming in a la RG3. He doesn't have a whole lot of wiggle room. And he doesn't have blazing foot speed. So they're going to have to protect him very well. This is an interesting pick. I think Michael Penix Jr. More than proved himself in Washington and proved that he's a good quarterback and that he can play well in the league. But he's already behind the learning curve in terms of his age. Not to say that he can't do well, but he's behind the learning curve in terms of his age. He's got the injury history already. And Minnesota just traded off a quarterback with an injury.
Right.
So basically, Minnesota, as long as Minnesota can keep him upright, and what is our famous catchphrase? If he can stay healthy, I think he will be a great addition to the Vikings. So
This is where I'm going to go back to what I said before. I think it's a good pick. Penix versus Bo Nix, it's whoever you think is going to fit in your system. And from what I've been reading, a lot of people think Penix will fit better with the coach in Minnesota. But here's my thing. Minnesota has the draft capital to trade with Arizona or the Chargers.
mhm.
I don't think they're going to stay at 11. I think they're going to make some moves to get 4 or 5. And if that's the case, they're going to go for JJ McCarthy.
Yeah,
Just
because I
that's
mean, if you've got a choice between a perfectly healthy quarterback,
and you've got the
a
draft
younger
capital to get
right.
him.
You got the draft capital to get him. He's perfectly healthy. He's 21, 22 years old. Not
Mhm.
that 26 is not prime of life, but a lot of quarterbacks start to show, you know,
Wear and tear.
the wear and tear or a little step back in skills when they start getting into their early 30s.
Mhm. Yep.
So you got a guy that you're banking on him doing something huge for you during the time frame of his rookie contract. And then,
Yeah.
if he doesn't, then you're just gonna wind up trading him off somewhere, and then you spend a bunch of money on a first round pick because he's got to get first round pick money, right? And
Mhm.
you got to give him first round pick money, and he might not pan out for you like that.
Right.
And then by the time it's time for his fifth year, they're like, "Yeah, we're not picking up your fifth year option," and now he's shuffling off you know, um, the CFL or somewhere like that, or sitting on somebody's bench someplace else.
Yeah, but I also think the fact that he's a little older may also work in his favor too. He's a little more mature. He may be able to understand because let's be honest, NFL offenses are complicated things to
Yeah.
understand. So he may not have the 21, 22-year-old athletic ability, but he could maybe understand it better. But this is why in a lot of people that I've been reading, I think, like I said, I don't think Broncos are going to be able to get number 5. They just don't have the draft capital to do it. Minnesota's going to beat them out. It's
Hmm.
That's just being honest about that. So if that happens, then the next pick, which would be the Chargers, would then be an 11. And like this was a trade, so it would be from Denver, and they're showing that J.C. Latham, the offensive tackle from Alabama, would be their pick on this draft. Now, here's the thing, and I'm not 100% sold on this, but I kind of get why the pick's going to happen, and then we'll get into what you think of him because I know you saw him play a lot this year. I The Chargers don't have any wide receivers anymore. They got rid of Mike Williams, they got rid of Keenan Allen. Like, why are you picking an offensive tackle at this point when you really need a wide receiver? But their offensive line needs a lot of help too. So I think this is a 6 and 1, half a dozen of the other.
Uh-huh.
And we'll just see which way Harbaugh wants to go. I would hope because he's smart. He's played in the NFL before, or he's coached in the NFL. Well, he's played and coached in the NFL. He knows what an offensive line can do.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
do you
and
think this would be a good pick? Do you think Latham is who you would pick second
it depends
as
on depends on what you're trying to. Well, I'll put it like this. Uh, J.C. Latham kept Milrow. He had a couple of miscues early in the season, but he kept Milrow upright in Alabama. Their quarterback,
okay?
Jalen Milrow, kept him upright for the majority of the season. Had an excellent season, and he basically was the guy that Milrow ran behind when he did have, when he did call his own number.
Okay.
So he's outstanding OT. If building the offensive line is Harbaugh's first priority, then by all means he's got a great pick here. Um, I don't know, like I don't follow the Chargers enough to really know what they need. So
They need everything.
yeah,
They're as bad as we are,
yeah.
except
So
for quarterback.
right. So I mean, if he needs to start with his offensive line, then this literally like in the Bible where Jesus told Peter, "You are my rock, and upon this rock I will build my church."
Yeah.
J.C. Latham is the rock on which that they're going to build the offensive line. I think
Now
so.
here's just in kind of looking through, we won't go through all the rest of the other one. We're gonna hit a few as I scroll through them, but like, so in this draft, 12, 13, and 14, which is Chargers, Raiders, and Saints, who all need offensive line help. They're all picking. So they're showing in this one, it would be J.C. Latham, Troy Fatanu from Washington, and then it would be Talise Fuaga from Oregon. I know you saw JC. I mean, at this point, it's kind of like of those three could all be interchangeable because whoever gets picked in the first position, the other teams are going to take probably the other two. So
Mhm.
I don't know that I don't watch is it the pack? I think it's the Pac 12, the
Right.
pack that
Well,
Washington and
The
Oregon State.
now defunct Pac-12.
Yeah,
Um,
like, but I've heard amazing things about
oh, the
Fuad
Pac. Listen,
Tanu.
I'm just gonna say this: the Pac-12's stepped up pretty big this year. I mean, the fact that Oregon versus Washington was probably one of the most watched games this season,
Mhm.
because I believe they played each other and then they wound up playing each other again in the Pac-12 championship, and that was one of the most watched games this season. Then on top of that, you got Oregon State. You had Utah, which was coming back off a phenomenal season, although they weren't able to really recreate their magic because their starting quarterback was out. You had all eyes on USC because of Caleb Williams, and even though USC lost. I mean, they basically lost their way out of the Pac-12 championship. They didn't have a craptastic season. They just lost. The college football playoff being how set up how it was, only the top four teams got in. And if you had more than one loss, you just basically were eliminated from playoff contention, even if you won the conference championship. That will change this coming fall with the new 12-team format. But the Pac-12 came up really big. And a big part of that is due to, just due to restructuring offenses. And so I'm looking at this mock draft here, Fuaga at Oregon State, Fatanu at Washington. Yeah, these are horses right here.
Yeah.
If you look, I'll give it to you like this: anybody that's projected as an O lineman to be drafted in the first round is definitely worth their weight in whatever it is they eat,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then some.
And it's kind of funny because remember like 10, 15 years ago, nobody drafted an offensive lineman in the first round. You
No, they
just
were
didn't do it. It's
second
not
and
worth
third
it.
round picks.
And now they've figured out in the current iteration that we have of the NFL is you need these guys because these quarterbacks they're bringing in, like they hold the ball longer. They're the plays are more complicated. There's more like they take longer to gel,
Let's go
and
ahead and
you need these guys.
let's go ahead and call it what it is. That movie with Sandra Bullock came out, The Blind Side,
The blind side.
and then all of a sudden everybody wanted to draft left tackles. Like, oh, there's this whole movie about left tackles. We need to draft left tackles. Do we need a left tackle? We got a left tackle. He's good. No, we need a left tackle. All of a sudden, the offensive lineman became the thing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Which is
But that's not to say that offensive linemen were not important to begin with. It's just that, of course, Joe Theismann, the whole thing with Joe Theismann definitely said, hey, look, the left tackle, we need to, because most quarterbacks are right-handed, we need to shore up on left tackle. But
yeah.
offensive linemen have always been a priority. It's only been since I'm serious. It's only been since the blind side has come out that they've really just been going, you know, hips to fingertips on drafting O linemen in the first round because
Yeah. Who
they're
was the
important.
Giants guy that also the guy with Theismann? Um
Lawrence Taylor.
that yeah. Lawrence Taylor, like you alluded to, like Joe Namath, he was like, yeah, we need them. But Lawrence Taylor put the exclamation point on that position of what you could do to a quarterback on the
Yeah.
blind side of those guys.
Full
And it
to
just
look, full head of steam with nobody blocking you. You could almost kill a quarterback.
yeah, yeah. And he just showed them like that's when teams started to go, okay, we need to look at this a little bit better. And it's just a different game that it is today than it was even in Lawrence Taylor's time. Like
Mhm.
everybody was a pocket quarterback back then. Nobody really was a run guy. And you need guys that are able to make quick decisions and able to push off from the defenders, which um
Well, here's the other thing, though. I mean, now that the
I'm kind
rules,
of
well,
sensing a pattern.
let me ask this question here. Um, Now that the rules are the way they are with contact on the quarterback, should there be as much emphasis on, blindside blockers as there used to be? Because you almost can't touch the quarterback anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
you
right.
can,
You can. The
but
thing
you can,
is
but
I
you
think
can't.
what the
You,
teams are more like they want to surround the quarterback like a castle and have the two knights on the end, and your best tackle is your blindside guy, just to make sure that it's like how things go around and all of that. So I think it's still going to be important. I think what you're going to start to see, personally, I think the rule changes that happen are more going to affect the secondary than they're going to really affect the defensive guys than anything else, because that's where the crackdown's more going to happen with not being able to drop your hips and all of that. But have you noticed something about us sitting here talking about this, about how many teams need offensive line help?
all of them,
And
even
if
even the good ones.
Yeah, and then if we get down to the latter rounds, this draft is showing that the Steelers are gonna take your guy from Georgia, Amarius Mims, which if Bowers wasn't available at OT at number 12, if we don't trade back, I'd take Mims, because our line is getting older. There's a you're gonna need to bring people in. He's just a physical specimen that it, you could see, but that's 5 offensive linemen, even in the first draft.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those, it's like everybody's talking about how good the tackles are this year. It's like if you don't take a tackle, you're gonna miss out. Who knows when tackles like these are gonna come through again?
Next
So
year, and the year after that, and the year after that.
as
Um,
the yeah, as
that,
the
yeah.
college, because even college, the college game has changed a little bit. Like I've always called it, in the past 20 years, to me, it's been more like a run and gun. Like you didn't really need to protect the quarterback because you just like threw the ball out there and just run it and just go. But they're taking on more of an NFL
Yeah,
style
I see they're adding. Did you say they're adding?
offense.
Did you see they're adding the 2 minute warning to college
No, I
football?
didn't.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no 2 minute warning in college football. They're adding that this coming season.
Yeah. Now the one thing that college does that I wish they hadn't changed the rule here was the toe touch thing. Like only needing to
One,
get one,
one versus
you have to
two.
get both feet in bounds for pro versus the college ball, because that's just more exciting. It's just a more exciting kind of
Oh,
play. So
10 toes down. But that's a level. That's a skill. I mean, I'm not saying
exactly.
I'm not saying that anybody can get one toe down. I mean, that's still a level of coordination outside of this world. But to get
But
both
10
feet,
is, if it's going out and it's in the corner and you're 2 inches away from going out of bounds, yeah, it's a talent. And I understand it. The NFL is supposed to be professional, and it's supposed to be more a higher level of play and everything, and
oh yeah,
people can get one in, but I just, if they want, instead of making it so defenders can't actually block anymore, make it easier to score a touchdown. If that's what you want, is more scoring in the game, don't make it harder to score.
I don't know.
Just my thought.
I like some of these defensive struggles though. I mean there was a game about 6 years ago that went to like 7 overtimes, and it was insane. I think it was Mississippi State and I forget who, but it went to 7 overtimes. It was like after midnight when the game ended, and it was awesome to watch. But I also like those games where the defenses are just like, you're not getting in our end zone. And it's not
Yeah.
that the offenses are slouches, it's just that both defenses showed up and said, we must protect this house. Like, remember that Under Armour commercial? We must protect
Yeah.
this house. It's like that's what
Yeah.
they've gotten into. And so you have these, this big defensive battle. I used to love watching the Steelers and the Cowboys play back in the day. Bradshaw versus Starbuck. Starbuck versus the
Hmm.
Steel Curtain, Bradshaw versus the Over the Hill Gang. God, I loved it. It was
Yeah.
amazing. But anyway, I'm just running my
Yeah.
mouth. But I do want to give a shout out. I know we're not doing the entire draft, but I do want to give a shout out because uh, I have been following this kid since he came into college ball. He has the most unique name, I think, of any player in the draft, and they have him projected to go with the very last pick of the first round at 32 to the Kansas City Chiefs. The one, the only. Hey, Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring him up. I had 2 more people I was gonna mention, and he was who I was gonna mention because I was like, "Seriously, his name is Kool-Aid?
Yeah, his name is Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Did they
Uh,
really
and,
name
and
him
then
after the big red pitcher, Kool-Aid?"
sure did, sure did. I'm also, you know who I'm looking up now? There's a kid called the Coldest. His name is actually the Coldest Crawford, and
Ah,
I'm wondering where he is in. Oh, he's in Louisiana Tech. It's a redshirt freshman. Oh, he played redshirt freshman at Louisiana Tech, so he may transfer. I thought he was playing big time. I thought he was playing like a FBS, FCS. I mean, I thought he was playing
yeah,
yeah. He's not playing. He's not playing big boy ball yet. So
yeah.
I look for him to transfer at some point to a premier school. I just want to know what year he is. He's a redshirt sophomore. Oh, he went to Nebraska and he got hurt in 2022. He's redshirt freshman in 2023, so he's a redshirt sophomore coming into this season. I hope he gets to play something. I really would love to see Dakota's cross. I would love to hear uh Troy Aikman call and the hit by Dakota's Crawford.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Um, you also so, like, with Kool-Aid, being picked as a cornerback, like, well, that's because, Kansas City lost their cornerback, and, like, the 49ers are picking another offensive lineman, so that's the 6th person in the 1st round. They're showing that they're gonna take, Graham I forget what his last name is now. I had it in my
Who
head
are we
and I
talking
forgot.
about? Going to where?
49ers,
Graham
because the
Barton.
49ers definitely need help with their
They're
offensive
picking up. They're
line.
picking up. Yeah, it looks like they're projected to pick up Graham Barton from Duke,
Yep.
offensive
Yeah.
lineman. Um, Although there's also listed here that they could pick up Lad McConkey. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to see Lad get picked up as a first rounder, even if he's a late pick. But like I said earlier, I see him going second round. I think a lot of people have doubts about him because of his size, but
Yeah.
kid is sneaky fast and he's got good hands and he's really freaking elusive.
Yeah.
So he's just it's basically a case of him. He's going to have to prove himself again because he had to prove himself at Georgia. Like
Yeah.
coach was like, small kid, we'll see what he can do. And,
Hey,
and then he
I mean, that's the thing. Like I was listening. There's a show that I watch. It's called Locked On. It's called Locked On the NFL Draft. It's a crew that does a different. I think one is from Locked On Bills and the other is from a different team. And I listened to the Locked On Broncos cast, but I found the Locked On NFL Draft cast, and they were talking about all of the offensive tackles and like how scarily gifted these people are, even ones that are a little bit smaller. They're only 6'2", 6'3", not being 6'5" and 6'6". So, and they talked about him. And they said he's a little smaller than everybody else, but he's just as fast as he's just as good. It's just, does he fit in your system? So,
right
um, so is there anyone on Georgia that you really would like to see get drafted that we haven't talked about?
right now, just Brock and Lad. I don't know. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. And you and I talked about, I haven't done a whole lot of draft research this year. We talked about that prior to, but right now, if I can see Brock get picked up and I can see Lad get picked up, I'll be really happy with that. Um, oh, um, Running back. Actually, oh no, he went to Alabama. No, he went to Texas. Adonai Mitchell. Um, but there was a running back, Kendall Mitchell.
Oops.
And he wound up having Kendall Milton. He wound up getting hurt during the 2022 season, and so he only played like half a season. and
Mm-hmm.
then he wound up coming back and having a phenomenal 2023 season all the way, up into the playoffs. We've got I guess he's going to be a red shirt. I guess he'll be playing as he got redshirted this year because he got hurt, and this was his freshman year. So he'll be a redshirt sophomore next year, and his name is Branson Robinson. The boy is built like a tank. Only thing
Yeah.
is he's got to not injure his leg again because he had a ACL tear during spring practice last year, and we were
Okay.
really looking forward to seeing him play. But so yeah, just those two really. That's about it. I'd love to see. I mean, even though this player has already been drafted. I'd love to see if Stetson Bennett get some playing time in Los Angeles too. But
Yeah.
he's still working on his stuff and getting himself together. So
Yeah, yeah. The only other player that I'm interested in learning, and that's not going to be till the later rounds, is I want to see what happens with Luke McCaffrey. I'd
okay.
like to see him come to Denver, but who knows? He's a wide receiver at Duke. Um,
Well, he caught
so
passes from Drake May, so that should count for something. And Drake is going to be going pretty, you know, at least in the top half for the first round. So that should
yeah,
deserve it.
so yeah, and from what I'm reading that actually Luke McCaffrey is actually pretty good. He would be one of those that you're probably going to get better than you think you're getting because he's probably going to fall to some of the lower rounds. But it all depends on how people are associating the capital and all of that. So, I mean, if you sit there and look at what his brother's been doing as a running back, and Luke is taller and faster.
Hmm.
So, like in the family, they say that Luke is probably the most physically gifted of the kids. So you'll see what happens. But he's playing it at Duke. He's not highly rated in the higher rounds, so I think he'll end up going maybe probably fourth, fifth. Somebody will pick him up. Name recognition alone, they'll pick him up and say, come on, give it a shot." Um, but that's it. I mean, NIU has a few people coming out, but I'm not. It's mostly defensive guys, and they're not picked to go in the higher rounds. So they might get picked in like the 6th or the 7th on a try. But Jimmy Ward got picked in the 2nd or 3rd round of the 49ers when he first came over. So my alma mater has a few in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny how much in the MAC, how many players are coming out of the MAC and actually getting drafted now. So, I
Well,
mean,
that's
not everybody's Roethlisberger, but it's
well. One of the things now is that now with the advent of with all the revenue that's being generated, and now we have more channels, and then we have the internet available. Um, you've got kids that coaches are following from high school freshmen, and they're able to follow as they go to these, if they go to smaller schools. So you're starting to see kids coming out of smaller schools and getting drafted in the league. I mean, it used to be that was a more of a rare thing when you find a guy, uh, when you get a guy out of Grambling, or you get a guy,
mhm.
you get somebody out of Grambling, or you get a Doug Williams out of Grambling, or Shannon Sharp out of Savannah State, or those kind of things. It's like my granny used to say: if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know where you're going when you leave, then you might want to stay home. That's what she used to say.
But I think it also like it's something that NIU learned with their run in the mid 2010s. Like you can go to the kids from Florida. Like if you play in the bowl game or when we played against Florida State, we got our butts kicked. But what they were able to do is they were able to uh, recruit based on that. They could go to Florida and say, look, we played Florida State last year. You want to play in Florida State? Your butt's going to be on the seat the entire year. You're never going to make the field in Florida
Right.
State or Miami or University of Florida or any of those places. But if you come up here to DeKalb, you're going to be our number one, number two guy. And you're going to have tape on you, and they're going to have these things. So you can, and we've been getting people from Florida since that game. And it's
Really?
a recruitment that it's a huge recruitment for us. So that's what's also happening with the Gramblings and the Miami of Ohio's and some of these other smaller schools and a lot of the black colleges is like, look, you're not going to play at Alabama. Come and play for us. You could probably do something here. And
Excuse me.
it's so that's why I think we're seeing it more and more and more of these smaller schools getting somebody, wide receivers, some quarterbacks. Um, offensive lines and defense can be kind of fudgy with those guys, is the way I'm going to say it, depending on who you're playing every year. If you're not playing something that's caliber, you might have a harder time in the league getting it. But a wide receiver is a wide receiver. If they can run fast and catch the ball, they're going to get a shot. So,
Yeah.
yep. All right. Well, that was the top 12, guys. Sorry, we didn't hit some of the
No, we're
others
good.
because
We're good.
I I
Let,
personally think the top 12, the first 12 are the most interesting because those are the teams that really need help. Those are the teams that one draft pick can change things for them or could start
yeah.
them on the way towards being up towards the top, as we all saw with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Like
Hmm.
one pick and it can change things. So, all right. Well, I
Well,
I
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of oh Lord, let's talk football, the round table. Tina and I decided to come on here and give you a little something something. We're going to be giving you a recap show, and that will be next week where we jump in, and I believe we'll be at full strength then,
correct.
where we will talk about the picks that were made and how we feel about them, and maybe give each team a. I don't know how we're going to work that out. We'll work all of that out, but we'll have a recap show on next Tuesday. So thank you all, those of you that tuned in this week. We'll be back next week, and Tina, I'm going to let you shut us down.
We'll be back next week. And lovely seeing you again, Handy. And to all the Let's Talk Football people out there, thank you for watching and sayonara.
Doses.